So in a way, every feeling is made of vibration. It's a vibration felt through the heart chakra, through different energy centers. Sometimes there's a lot of freedom for example, in the heart chakra, and the vibration becomes very, very, very fine. Of course, the more fine the vibration is, like pure awareness, the more possible everything is. The social conflicts are much less, the sense of being separated is much less. Even the density of physical matter can feel much less. We can pass through. We can blend from one person to another. We can meet a stone even, through pure awareness, through feeling vibration, and find a unity with a stone in a blend. And yet we have this aspect which is our personalities. Which in a way is made up of denser vibrations, where we have been traumatized, wounded, where we've suffered loss. And the denser vibrations in a way is where there was a freeze, something froze. So in an area of the heart chakra, for example, there can be what we've classically called a block. A block. But it's not a block, you know. It's our own awareness frozen. Why would it freeze? Because something isn't making sense. Something is not allowed. It's too much to contain. When a child loses somebody in its family, for example, this is a trauma. It's a shock. It's not containable. The mind can't contain it. It's not got space. Something freezes. So there's a denser vibration of awareness, actually, which can feel like non-awareness, because here it's free and here it's like no feeling. Frozen, but it's made of awareness. It's made of love. It's like frozen love. Often it freezes because it doesn't make sense to the mind. So, for example, with a sudden loss, often, or even as adults, what we try and do is find the magic in it, the poetry, the reason. Oh, he sold all his furniture 2 weeks before, so he knew it was coming. There's a divine plan behind it. It all makes sense somehow, so I can release the freeze. To make sense of something which is between dimensions, like death or birth. Magical thinking, in a way. And at the same time, we are expected and programmed that if we lose somebody, then we feel sad. This is not true. It's not the only thing we're feeling when we lose somebody. We can feel space. We can feel relief. We can feel anger. We can feel abandonment. We can feel complications around rejection. All of this complicates the stuff, so there's a freeze because it's not okay to let this love flow. The love can't find its origin anymore. Guilt, for example, is a strong one to block love. Especially when there is a subtle accusation around in the social field or in the family field. The way we tend to be taught to work through these blocks in the heart chakra commonly is to, take the block as an object and work on it. Like take a chisel and start to chip at the ice. Or try to understand it, build a story around it. this can be really helpful, but it's not what's doing the magic there. You know, take a wheelbarrow and take this block, put it on the wheelbarrow, cart it off to somewhere else. It's made of the pure energy of ourselves, of our awareness, of our love. So, in a way, in moving into the heart chakra, it's important to say from the beginning that there is enormous infinite space there. The blocks are tiny. Even if there are many, 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 many traumas, it can be like a jungle of stuff, of different woundings and layers of guilt and grief and loss and pain of abandonment. But there's always a way through. When we don't go for the stuff, but we go for the space between. So space sounds kind of boring and empty.
Georgie, even if there's a jungle of a lot of little blocks, there's still more space than we are, even though it may feel like all those little blocks, or big blocks, have filled the entire heart chakra. Actually, there is more space than we're even imagining there.
The space always between the blocks, if we move if our consciousness just says away, 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 not reject, 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 but the space through. But there's also space within the blocks. The blocks are made of our own awareness. So we can also pass through. What often happens when we pass directly through a block is we get information which entangles us. And then we start a whole process of directly engaging with a block, which is also okay. But there's another way, which is to go through all the way into pure awareness and to let awareness do its own work with its general heat on all of them at once. So that's the awareness, that which can feel what can feel what can feel, the pure awareness, just moving the eyes and the ears and the head to the heart, just seeing through the eyes of the heart in itself begins to melt blocks and give different perspectives on them. For example, with grief, why would there be grief? What would grief be made of as an energy? What does it look for? What's its secret? On the level of feeling, what would grief be made of? The pain of grief.
The loss and loneliness.
That's the effect of it.
Mm-hmm.
But why would loss matter?
It's about love.
It's about love. So grief, in a way, the very thing it seeks, its very existence is based on love. We wouldn't grieve anything that there wasn't an incredible love there for. And it's the same with all the afflictions on the level of the heart. If we didn't care, it wouldn't hurt. If we weren't really feeling at one with the other, there wouldn't be guilt and accusation. There's a way to try and bring back something which is moved away or disconnected. So when love, free love, pure love, moves outwards and it meets, say, grief, the love inside the grief wakes up as well. It's a natural harmonizing. And then the grief begins to tell its story, and the love then, it kind of melts back in like into water, ice into water. Without any loss. In a way, that is the reconnection. You know, when people lose somebody, I lost my father when I was 14, and I spent maybe 25 years looking for him, reaching out here, reaching out here, reaching out here. I never looked for him inside the pain, inside the grief. But with that particular love, that's the direct line. So in a way, getting rid of the grief doesn't get the person back. It's going into the raw agenda of the grief, opens the connection, which is a love connection. All connections are based on love. Again, the question, should it have been me in a loss, is a classic. Because in the love we are one. And on the one hand. On the other hand, every death awakens your own death. The fragility, the lack of control, it will be you. Your mother can wait, but it will also be you. It's all of us. There's something we do with very, very sharp pain, which is to make it special to us. I don't know anybody who hasn't suffered a severe loss, and actually I feel more concerned for the ones that haven't, because they have it coming soon.
Yeah.
Most of them complicated. And yet we take this thing, also both the same. When my brother had his first child, my brother was this wild, creative, very intelligent, unbalanced person. And he had his first child, and he said, how is it drives me crazy that the one thing, which for me is an absolute miracle, so special, so wonderful, every single tosser can do it. Have a baby.
Yeah.
So with these very, very intense, true feelings, we tend to very rapidly, with our egos, make it personal, special, which is absolutely fun, because it's so precious to have that depth of feeling, connection. But at the same time, this is also a way that we keep ourselves separate, unhooked. It's where we close down. It's where, after my father died, I couldn't contain it at all, so I went into I am so special because I lost my father ego structure for 2 decades. Like this whole layer of pose of that I would open up, and tell the story. And
Like
I didn't grieve at all until I was about
being
30.
And
So it's also where we get stuck.
What form, and so you didn't grieve at all, I'm thinking. What form did that grief take after those 2 decades that you call that grief?
The heart was closed, and there was a lot of kind of egoic reaction, and a lot of I was as if grieving, but it was pseudo grief, because it was shut down at 14. There was no way, there was no place, there was no context to even take in the loss. As a child, you can't take in the loss of what it means when you have your first child, when you get married, and your father's not there, way into the future. You can't take it in. You're a 14-year-old, and in a way, the story became old, meaningless. Also to me, the same story. And then I had a session. I went through a whole anxiety period of anxiety. The ego structure began to break under that, and depression underneath that. And I had my first session with him. And he was the first one ever in my life who recognized the pain as if it had happened now. And told me that I had to do a ritual. And that was where the grieving began for the first time ever. So in a way, I got my father back then. To write him a letter, to burn the letter. Before that, it was like, at the beginning it was, no, you don't want to know, it's too embarrassing, we can't look this child in the eyes. And after that, it was, it's history. It's old. But grief is never old until it's...
So after you've done this ritual, then you began to grieve, is that what you're saying?
Then a whole
that's what
process.
I'm trying to understand. So when you say then you began to grieve, what then began to happen that you are then calling that grieving?
In a much deeper opening of the heart, a lot of forgiveness, a deep sense of connection, a much deeper sense of connection to my children, to my partner of then, to the environment, sense of vitality, sense of for realness,
For realness?
For being for real, a sense
Okay,
of
like
actually being here in a life, rather than here on a shelf.
Reconnecting to real life.
Really to the depths of the connection, from inside out. So what is this pure awareness, which is such an amazing healer from the inside out, that we're going to move into today? So we can ask some questions. Is awareness individual? When we feel, move into awareness. To move into awareness, we can sense the atmosphere in the first place. The atmosphere among us. And when we begin to drop there, what we tend to feel is where, in the first instance, there's more vibration. We feel feelings, or we feel atmosphere, but all of this is not pure awareness. It's an effect of our opening our awareness. And then, in a very subtle way, what begins to happen is we begin to identify. This is my feeling. This is the other one's feeling. We begin to divide a little bit. And this is also not liberating pure awareness. Do we think that what we experience when we feel the atmosphere here, in this moment, it's the same for all of us? It's an open question. You don't think it's the same?
It's not the same for all of us. I think it's for everybody differently.
Can you find a place where it's not different?
In the circle around us, I think. Not between us, but around us. I think it's the same then.
And in the circle between us?
Not for me.
It's a question. For sure there are differences in how there are different flavors in our awareness. But is there also in your awareness a place where, before the flavor, before the difference?
Not yet, I think.
You feel between the feelings. Feel between anything you could feel. You're here. We're all here. We're all aware. This awareness of all of us has feelings happening, but we're all still aware. Otherwise, there could be no feelings. Between the feelings, you don't become unaware.
I'm a bit lost in English. I'm not particularly sure that I understand what you're talking about.
Yeah. like there's silence between us. Even if I'm talking, or even if Simone is talking, or Gina's talking, the silence is always the same.
That connects us.
It's always one. Silence doesn't get broken. We have the expression silence was broken by, but it never can be broken. There's silence and there's sound, and there's silence and there's less sound. But there's always silence. So this is the direction. To the areas which are also there, much more there actually, but we take them for granted, where the awareness is just here for us to wait to dissolve into. At the same time that we have feelings, it's here.
Awareness, bewustzijn. De vraag is eigenlijk van, is hier een bewustzijn? En is dat gezamenlijk? Voel je eigenlijk hetzelfde? Of je gaat niet zozeer om voelen, maar wel om zijn, bewustzijn. Dus als je dat scheidt van gevoelens, en je kijkt verder van, nou, hebben we hier een gezamenlijk bewustzijn? En is dat allemaal hetzelfde? En dan zegt Georgi, er zijn smaken in. Maar eigenlijk is er wel een gezamenlijk iets. Nou, meer gezegd geloof ik me niet, want heb je dat is eigenlijk een beetje de kern, volgens mij. De stilte, wat Georgi stilte noemt, ja, stilte, ja, ik weet niet, ik voel hem hier zitten, of stilte, of ja, dat er ook altijd is, weet je wel, dat ook het gezamenlijke wel is, van, ja, hoe moet je stilte nou uitleggen, maar iets van, hoe zeg je dat, er is iets, stilte, ja. Silence is een mooi woord voor.
Gedeelde stilte.
Ja, gedeelde stilte.
A strange thing happened to me yesterday up on the tour. I sat down to meditate, partly because I was so breathless after climbing the smoking. Simone came next to me, I was aware of that, and I sank into deep meditation. And then, what I felt was that suddenly I thought, where's the group? And oh, I should take care. Maybe they should also be here. Maybe I'm being kind of so I kind of opened my eyes, and you were all there.
Yeah.
There wasn't a trace of separation. You were all totally in a pure awareness, in a unity. The only thing that was cut out was my visual perception. The wind, of course, took out the sound, but the fact that the only thing that would have created a separation would be if I'd opened my eyes before and seen you there and said in my mind, they are here, and she is here, and he is here. It was as if the whole tour was empty.
It was as if the whole tour was empty.
Yeah.
Even though we were all there, it was
Yeah.
as though told.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like too.
It was a very special moment yesterday. But, I felt the same.
Yes. Yeah.
So that shared experience or shared awareness. What very much was happening is the awareness was there. But the awareness was a kind of boost of awareness which is special for that place as well, without any experience.
That's what I was going to ask you. Okay.
You know, when you look into it, what we do normally is that we pick out experiences. We feel happiness, happiness, or we feel sad, sad, or we feel joy, joy, or
But why?
exactly, we feel but why, and we grab that. From the level of the mind, when we are together and there is a silence, this is difficult. Just a silence. Nobody speaks, it's silent. Why is silence difficult? Why is it so difficult to be together with a person in silence? You know, maybe this is not right now, but you maybe remember it from the past. Because in silence, immediately what's coming forward is intimacy. More intimacy is when we talk. When we talk about things. We're holding on thoughts, ideas, forms. So the moment we are not talking, we are not creating forms in our minds. And silence is coming forward. And the silence is binding us more, is more bringing unity as any form. So the whole movement from the silence in the head, we kind of, you know, some of us came to yesterday. And what happened in the Torah, to move into the silence of the heart as well. Emptiness.
Stillness?
Beyond stillness.
Yeah.
Non-experience. Just being.
Yeah.
So this being without any particular experience, and I could feel some of you reaching out. I must experience something. So you have to form, you have to make a form. But it was not there.
No.
And then the beautiful thing is afterwards, when we walked out, basically was an expanded awareness. This is what we're talking about. There was such a peacefulness. There's such a togetherness. You recognize that?
Yeah.
Bliss. So, all experiences we have basically are telling you that you're able to experience this. But they come and they go. But the background of experience, the still, which is there in the heart, this very much is connected with awareness itself. Experiences are able to fill in, to come and to go, their forms. But the still, the non-experience, or what's in between the experiences, it's not stillness exactly, it's still. It's different, it's slightly different. It's connected with this expanded awareness.
And it can expand through your whole system.
It expands not only to your whole system, it expands to the environment, and there is a blend, a unity. There is no difference between the awareness of one person to another person. It's absolutely sharing itself. That's partly why we move into workshops or we move to a master. A master is in an expanded awareness most of the times. And this atmosphere is shared. It kind of brings you in the same position.
So this, I hadn't even thought about it that way, but maybe this is not calling it the right way, but it's almost like there's nothing happening. Okay.
Nothing
So
happening.
There's nothing happening.
And at the same time everything is happening. But we focus on the nothing, not on the everything. There were birds singing. There were people walking around the Torah. We were all sitting there with our own thoughts, our own things.
People actually walked through.
Yeah.
Like only one. Like only one. That was actually not happening a lot. But when we say, I understand that there's many things are happening. Birds are singing and so forth. But I'm looking at the concept, the expectation, mind. The searching, although it wasn't so prevalent yesterday, which is why this feels so different, of looking for the feeling. Looking for the feeling of connection. looking for this experience I'm going to have, which I'm going to feel connected to everybody. I don't know, some image I have of that. And of course there are times when I felt things like that. So when we talk about a shared, expanded awareness, if I hadn't had the experience yesterday and we were now not giving it some form to understand, I was thinking yesterday, I would be thinking about yesterday as, yeah, totally, it was really, it was fine. It was fine that you guys were there. You could have been there, you could have not been there. I mean, I didn't have much of a feeling about it. When I say nothing happened, that's what I mean, that I didn't have a feeling of connection. I didn't feel the thing going through me, you know, the wind or the hollow, and I kind of, not much of a curiosity about it, I sort of just let it go, and now we're bringing it up, and so I'm thinking about how this applies in many other places.
Yeah.
So the expanded awareness is not necessarily, well, it probably includes all of it. It does not necessarily, what am I looking for? So that I can be in an expanded awareness without a feeling happening about something. Is that, George, you're saying one thing, Georgie's got a different face, but anyhow.
The expanded awareness, I'm getting kind of red lights here. Awareness never expands. It never shrinks.
Okay.
It's never personal, it never was. It's always here. We are it. It's an essential part of who we are. We shrink ourselves with feelings, like, so this is the limits of my love, this is where I have this feeling or this experience, and we make them like borders. So when these we're not attending to the experience or identifying with the experience, then it seems like awareness is expanding, but actually we just took the, we opened the curtains, we took the blocks out the way, we saw beyond the horizon. It's always there.
Well, you guys were referring to you used the term expanded awareness, right?
No,
No?
you did.
I did.
Okay. I was wondering where did I get it from? Okay.
It's kind of
No, okay.
shared awareness.
Okay, shared awareness. Okay.
It depends where you're sitting. From the perspective of being somebody, it's expanded awareness. From the perspective of awareness itself, and let's face it, nothing is existing at all if you're not aware of it. It always was there. And it's, yeah. So experience is really, in a way, like the temptations to entangle.
And like little compartmentalizations, like
Yes,
little blocks.
to shrink,
Little, not
to
blocks,
shrink.
Little, okay.
Experience is arising in awareness, it dissolves back into awareness, out of awareness into awareness. The awareness is always there. Other people move through our awareness. Sounds arise in our awareness. You know, if I was to really follow the logic of thinking that experience is somehow more absolute than awareness, then the world would end with the walls of the yurt right now. Because that's all I can see. The rest would be religion. Out there is there a world outside the yurt.
It extends as far as your perception, so you can hear beyond the walls of the yurt. So it
Yeah.
would go until the limit of your hearing, right, or smelling, or sensing. Okay.
But of course the hearing and the smelling and the sensing is all arising in awareness.
And we're really wanting to be clear to see these places where the feeling part of the feeling experience, without having the drama of the feeling, to have the awareness. I mean, like there's just some, yeah, okay.
That's also a brain state. Checking your feelings.
Yeah. So basically, let's kind of put it down very, very, very simple. whatever you call it, expanded awareness, or there is many different names by the many different schools which are used. To move there, what's needed is to let go of any egoic hook or any identification with any experience. It is what it is. And you don't focus yourself so much on the experiences itself which are coming forward, but you focus yourself on the space which is there in between, around and inside experiences. So why is it called extended awareness? Because normally what we do, we have an experience and we focus everything on the experience. Like this is the real thing. This makes us alive. And if you just let the experience be and you don't focus on it, it will just pass. It's like when you unfocus your eyes, you see much more, but nothing is specially connected with you. You understand? You don't identify. So the more fearful we are, the more we have a tendency to identify, to hold on to things. So what happened yesterday in the tour was a little miracle, because there was really a sharing of this expanded awareness. Non-experience, in a way that we were holding on to experience, but there was enough experience. The tour itself, the stones, us sitting together, the people around, the birds, the wind, all was there at the same time. So the combination of letting the air and the wind kind of, just move through you, this feeling, this creates an openness. This creates a kind of, let things move through. A kind of cleansing. So expanded awareness, or whatever you call it, an open awareness, being in being, whatever you call it, it's not something with bells on it. It's something very, very simple.
So we're not going to get a medal?
The medals come, the medals go. But it's really a critical difference in direction, and it's like taking the first leap of trust. So rather than going into an experience or go into space and saying, where's the stuff? Where's the experience? And then like, wow, I'm having an experience. It's going back the other way. So the first time we do this and become and allow the possibility of awareness, to be aware of our awareness, the pure isness, which is there all the time. This is a direction not outwards towards experience, towards hearing, towards listening, towards seeing. All of that's happening anyway. It's a direction back. Can I be aware of my awareness? Now this is so rich, this nothing is so full in its effects that sometimes then we have an incredible experience arising and then we're gone again in the sweet shop until it begins to be painful and we suffer, and then we come back to the awareness of awareness again. We are moving backwards towards the source of who we are. All of that stuff, all that experience is arising out of the source.
But we can include, this isn't a negation of
never.
Feeling, of
No.
being stirred.
But it is a relativization.
A what?
It makes it relative.
Relative.
it becomes increased. The more you experience the awareness of awareness, the less interesting experience is, the less it's got a grip. What used to be an amazing experience now becomes less interesting than that which is able to experience. It's closer to the source of you, and experience begins to change. Also, it's not like awareness is nothing in the sense of neutral. It's really got a very, very fine atmosphere in itself of love. It's the love behind the love. It's not empty yet. You know, we throw these words around like love, and without really, in a feeling inquiry, checking, exploring what it is. And what's love? Hormones?
What did you say?
Hormones. What is this love that we're also looking for outside of ourselves? Is love found in an object? Is there, you know, one person who is the barman of love, and you go there and you get yourself a pint?
There are so many of those around. I've seen you drinking over there.
So what's really, really happening there? It's not that we're going to the barman of love and getting ourselves a pint when we go to our beloved. The connection of pure awareness is so open that our heart can be open and the love becomes one between us. So when there is somebody who is much less closed in and separate because of fear, somebody who's relatively fearless, who's open, his awareness is open, then this has an effect on us, like as if we were the blocks. The love in us begins to open as well and to resonate in a shared field, because it never was separate. It's the absence of blocks. It's not a thing in itself, it's not a liquid. It's the absence of obstructions.
Rumi has a beautiful quote on that. There's no need to search for love, but rather to search or rather to find the blocks.
Get them out of the way. Yeah.
It's the bottom of all.
I think I want to add something to it. It's not the absence of blocks either, in my eyes. There is not something as an absence of pain, or an absence of blocks, or an absence of grief. It is an acceptance of blocks. It's an acceptance of grief. It's an acceptance of pain, and don't believe that it will for one moment shadow your heart. It's an attitude.
It will not shadow your heart.
It doesn't shadow your heart. It only shadows our heart. The biggest shadower of our heart is love. Why? I want to love. I want to feel love. We take it as a thing. And then we cannot hold it and it dies in us. And we block. Love only exists in freedom. When we don't grab it. When we are able to sacrifice love every moment for what it is. To let it go. So an open heart Partly is a heart without push and pull. Just there, what is there. And not focusing on the experience, but focusing on the space through which the experience can come forward. And every experience, what Georgi brings forward, there is a background of love there, which is awareness itself.
And then there's the mind. The mind that puts all kinds of conditions. First I have to get through my grief process. First I have to be healthy. First I have to get rid of these physical pains that are here and here, as if any kind of imperfection in form or emotional form means that we can't be purely aware, that we can't be free. We're doing this to ourselves. We are saying, I will not let myself be free and in unconditional love until I am perfect. Until I know Hebrew perfectly. Until I am good enough, nearly good enough.
The most common one, right? Nobody will ever love me unless I have to love myself first. And then somebody will love me. Love that one.
I have to deserve love. But most is there's this incredibly fascistic, subliminal belief system that I have to be physically perfect. That I can't be suffering in my body in any way and move into freedom. That this is a restriction. This would mean that anybody who's crippled or slightly handicapped can never be enlightened. No hope for them. Anybody who's damaged, anybody who's traumatized, the beautiful thing about awareness is it's there unconditionally, whatever the form. Whether it's a perfect form or a broken form, whether it's a traumatized form or whether it's I don't think such a thing exists, but Obama perfect. It's the same. Always here, always already here, now, available. The ones that put the conditions are us in our thinking programs. And the thinking programs are okay, but we believe in them. And we invest them with a kind of consciousness which means that we deny ourselves the very oxygen in a way which anyway we're breathing. So we take little breaths. We snort a little bit of air to survive of pure awareness, when anyway it's given freely all the time.